Welcome to the Build Your Reiki Business podcast. I'm Christian of Standing Stones Healing, founder of the Reiki Business Collective and creator of the Build Your Reiki Business program, sending blessings and best wishes to your Reiki business. Greetings, welcome, and thanks for tuning in to this week's episode of the Build Your Reiki Business podcast. I'm Christian of Standing Stones Healing, and I'm honored and grateful to have you here. So thank you so much. In this week's episode, we're talking about when it's time to quit your Reiki business. So when is it time to quit? How to know. But first, I want to make sure to invite you to the November 15th How to Navigate the First 3 Years of Your Reiki Business workshop. And this is a free workshop, and if you cannot join live, yes, you will get the replay. You can register at standingstoneshealing.com/Reiki Biz Kit. So this is the last call for that free November 15th workshop. I hope you can join us. How do you know when it's time to quit your Reiki business? Now, I'm actually going to be talking about this topic during the workshop on November the 15th, because the truth is that in your Reiki business, the chances are very high that at some point on your Reiki business journey, you're going to want to quit. And this is especially common in the first 3 years of your Reiki business. And so if you have a Reiki business and you have already had the question come up, is it time to quit? Should I quit? Do I want to quit? How do I know when it's time to quit? Yes, indeed, join the party. Because this question is so incredibly common, and I am talking about it on November the 15th, but the truth is that at some point on your Reiki business journey, you are going to want to quit. Or at least you are going to have the question, is it time to quit? And so I'm here to offer some guidance, some thoughts, and some encouragement on how to know when/if it's time to quit your Reiki business. Now, I first want to say that I want to throw out a little caveat here. I have not quit my Reiki business, which means that I don't actually have experience in quitting my Reiki business to be able to talk to you about quitting your Reiki business. But I can tell you that on my Reiki business journey, there have been times when I have said, is it time to quit? I should just quit. And those are absolutely normal questions, and it's a normal point on your Reiki business journey. So I can tell you that I myself have had these questions, although I can tell you that they do not last, they are fleeting. And so that I can definitely share with you from that experience. So no, I have not quit my Reiki business before, but who knows? Maybe at some point I will, because our Reiki business journey is always unfolding. So how do you know when it's time to quit? Again, first of all, you are going to have these questions. I want to say that just because you ask the question doesn't mean that it's time to quit your Reiki business. Because if everyone who asked this question quit their Reiki business, there would be no Reiki businesses. And this is so common, not just in Reiki business, but in business period, of do I want to quit? Oh, I feel like I should just quit. And that sense of wanting to quit. So know that it is very, very common. And just because you have those feelings doesn't mean that it is necessarily time for you to quit, and doesn't mean that you necessarily should just because you're having these feelings and questions, because indeed, if you have not had them already, you will. So how do you know then when it's time to quit and when it is time to keep going? One way that is a great way to know whether or not it's time to quit, or if these are just normal questions that are coming up on your Reiki business journey, is if you're just not enjoying it. If you are simply not enjoying your Reiki business, if you find it a chore, if you find it a drag, if it's not filling you with a sense of expansion or enthusiasm, if you're not having a good time, if you're dreading meeting with clients, if you are uninterested in doing any aspect of your Reiki business, then your Reiki business may no longer be meeting your needs on that level in terms of fulfillment and enjoyment. Now, of course, there are always things in our Reiki business that we're not going to enjoy. And indeed, there may be some days when you're like, oh, I don't really feel like meeting with clients today, but I got a full schedule. That's okay. That's not an abnormal thing. But if it's days upon days, and if it's more days than fewer that you're feeling like, oh, I don't want to do this, then it may not be time to quit, but it may be time to change up what you're doing in your Reiki business. And so instead of meeting with clients or meeting with so many clients, it may be time to change your business model. It may be time to alter some things, maybe sell products instead of meeting with so many clients, maybe doing more teaching. That's all for you to decide, but it may mean that it's time for you to change some things up. Again, it doesn't necessarily mean it's time to quit. And so just because you find that there's one aspect of your Reiki business that you're not enjoying doesn't mean that it's time to quit the whole Reiki business. It just may mean that it's time to change some things up and do some things differently. And so, for instance, with the clients, if you're like, I'm just not enjoying these client sessions anymore. Okay, no problem. It may just be time to change up your sessions, what you're offering, how you're offering it, the length of time, the fact that you're offering sessions at all. It may be time to do away with those, do fewer, and to just change some things up. That's all okay on our Reiki business journey. And finding that you're no longer enjoying a certain aspect of your Reiki business doesn't mean that it's time to necessarily quit the whole Reiki business, but it may very well be time to change things up. Now, I will say that if you are finding no enjoyment in any aspect of your Reiki business, and it's all a drag, and you're not liking any of it, then maybe it is time to quit your Reiki business. And I want to encourage you that if you are in your Reiki business and you're just not finding enjoyment with any aspect of it, and you're feeling like, I don't feel like I want to do this anymore, I want to encourage you to release judgment of yourself for that feeling and to not say things like, what's wrong with me? Why am I no longer enjoying this? What have I done wrong? Oh no, Reiki has left me. I just don't feel connected anymore, and Reiki has left me. I want to encourage you to release those thoughts, to first of all be gentle on yourself, but to release those thoughts and to release that judgment. Because it doesn't mean you're doing anything wrong. It doesn't mean that Reiki has left you, that's for sure. It only simply means that we as human beings are always changing and evolving. We grow and we change, and what resonates with us grows and changes. What we like and what we want to do grows and changes. And so I want to encourage you that if some point on your Reiki business journey, you just say, you know what, this is no longer the right fit for me, that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. You haven't failed, and Reiki hasn't failed you. You've simply evolved as a human being. You're at a different place on your journey, and that's all okay. So I want to encourage you that if you're not enjoying any aspect of your Reiki business and you're like, it's time to quit, it's time to go, that's okay. There is nothing wrong with that. There is nothing wrong with you. And it's simply part of the evolution of your Reiki business journey and your greater life's journey. So if you just ain't feeling it anymore, you have my permission. I mean, not that you need my permission, but sometimes we're looking for someone to tell us that it's okay. I'm here to tell you that it's okay to let it go. It is okay. Because what really matters on your Reiki business journey and on your life's journey is that you are living in authenticity. And if having a Reiki business no longer resonates with you, it's important to follow your own heart and do what feels right to you. And so I'm here to encourage you that if having a Reiki business no longer resonates with you, it's okay to let it go. Another way to know if/when it's time to quit your Reiki business is if your priorities in your life have shifted to a point where you simply can't make room for it. Now, time management at its core is really all about prioritization. And so, yes, even when you're very busy, you've got a lot going on, if the Reiki business is a priority for you, then there are ways that you can fit it in, even in the smallest ways in your life, if it's a priority. Now, again, there's no judgment here. And so if having a Reiki business is no longer a priority for you, release judgment of yourself and say, yeah, my priorities have shifted. I'm really no longer that invested in having a Reiki business, and I'm interested in prioritizing other things in my life and putting my time and efforts and focus there. That's also absolutely okay. And so let's say that you've had a shift in your life, maybe a major life change. Maybe you have just had a child, or you've had a diagnosis, or you have gotten a new job, or relocated, or whatever else the life change might be. By the way, if you are going through a life change or have had a life change, I encourage you to please get my free life change encouragement kit at standingstoneshealing.com/kit. Definitely, it will help you through your life changes, and you can get it right now on that website straight away. But if your life has shifted in such a way that your priorities have shifted, then your priorities may no longer include your Reiki business. And if you're saying, this is just no longer the same priority for me that it was, that's okay. It's okay to let it go and to focus on the things that are your priorities. As human beings, we have a finite amount of energy and things that we can focus on. We can't do everything, even if we might want to. And so what that means is that it's important for us to focus on the things that really matter to us. And if you sit down and you really think about your priorities and you list them out, and having a Reiki business just isn't on the list right now, then that's okay. You can quit. So those are really the two biggest ways to know if or when it's time to quit your Reiki business. If it's no longer lighting your fire and you cannot see any way of making changes so that it does, or you're just not interested in making the changes so that it does. And if your priorities have shifted and you're no longer interested in having a Reiki business as one of your life priorities. And this is really a great test of when to quit anything. You know when to quit a relationship. Is it lighting your fire? Is it a priority? If the answers are both no, then it's either time to make some changes or let it go. A job, is it lighting your fire? Is it one of your priorities? If the answers are both no, then maybe it's time to find a new job. And so these questions can really help us determine whether anything in life is worth continuing to do, or if it's time to shift and make changes, or simply let it go. Because even if it might be time to quit a Reiki business, you may first want to try making some changes to see how those feel. So what that means is that if the business is no longer lighting your fire, can you make some changes, let go of some things that don't light your fire to see how that feels? And if it's no longer such a big priority, can you maybe downgrade the Reiki business as a priority and focus on it a little less and see how that feels, rather than simply letting it go altogether? So always we can potentially make adjustments in how we operate our Reiki business, how much we operate our Reiki business, and to see how that feels before saying, forget it, quit altogether. Another option here, of course, is to pause your Reiki business and to put it on the back burner, put it on hold, and come back to it. So rather than simply quitting it outright, you absolutely can just pause it and come back to it when it feels right to you. You know, this is actually why this podcast is called Build Your Reiki Business, and why the Build Your Reiki Business program emphasizes the build, because we're all building on our own terms and on our own time frames. And so that means that some Reiki business owners will have a Reiki business, put it on hold for a little bit, come back to it, focus on it a little bit less at certain points on their journey. Sometimes do it full time, sometimes do it part time, sometimes do it a few hours a week. You know, the possibilities are endless. That's actually why you've got lifetime access to all of the content in the Build Your Reiki Business program, because we're all building our Reiki business on our own time and on our own terms. And that's what really matters, is deciding when or if to quit on your own terms. That's the most important thing. And so when it comes to quitting your Reiki business, when is it time to quit? Only you know that for sure. Only you know the answer to that. And sometimes it doesn't mean quitting. It means moving from full-time to part-time, which, by the way, is totally valid, still a totally valid Reiki business. Or even to move from part-time to full-time, or to pause your Reiki business, to downgrade it in your priorities. That is all okay. That is all okay. I am giving you permission. Again, not that you need my permission, but sometimes we look for someone to tell us it's okay to do something, and I'm here to tell you it's okay to do any or all of those things. It doesn't make you any less valid as a Reiki business owner. It doesn't mean that you are any less committed to spreading love and light in the world. It simply means that you are a dynamic human being with all kinds of interests, all kinds of things going on in your life, and it's absolutely okay if at some point on your Reiki business journey you decide to quit, or to pause, or to reprioritize, and to make your Reiki business less of a priority. Because the number one priority that you have is to yourself. And so always it's important to prioritize yourself when you're determining how, when, where to fit your Reiki business into your life, to make it your number one priority, or to determine that it's no longer the right fit for you at this point on your journey. All of that is okay. Now, I do want to share a couple of ways that I didn't mention for how you know when it's time to quit your Reiki business. The first way is if you don't have any clients. And so if you're saying, I have no clients, is it time to quit my Reiki business? Maybe it's just time to quit. I want to encourage you that there are things that we can do so that you do have clients, so that you are able to get clients. And so if you're feeling like you want to keep going with your Reiki business, but you're thinking that you should quit because you don't have any clients, there are things that we can do to help you get clients. And even, like I mentioned before, maybe you might even want to change your Reiki business model and do things other than see clients or in addition to seeing clients. You know, of course, this is a common concern. Oh, I don't have any clients. I'm going to have to close my Reiki business because I have no clients. Well, if you really want to keep going with your Reiki business, if it's still one of your priorities, if it still aligns with you and resonates with you, if it still lights your fire, then let's talk about that first. And let's see what we can do to help resolve that issue so that you can continue doing something that you love and that aligns with your priorities before quitting it outright. Another thing I did not mention is if you live in an area where no one knows about Reiki and you're thinking, oh, I should just quit my Reiki business because I live in an area where no one knows about Reiki. This is something that I hear as well. And is it a reason to quit your Reiki business? Well, I mean, maybe it is for you, sure, if that aligns with you, but it doesn't have to be. And so again, if it's still something that you want to pursue, if you still want to keep operating your Reiki business, if it still aligns with you and it's still a priority, just because people in your area don't know what Reiki is, doesn't mean that you have to quit. As a matter of fact, you can be the one to encourage them to learn about Reiki. You can be the one to be bringing Reiki to your local area. And if you aren't interested in doing that, well, heck, you can always make changes to your Reiki business model and do other things, including online. One more thing I did not mention is if your family and friends don't approve or if they don't support your Reiki business journey. Now, I will say anytime we embark on something on our life's journey and the people closest to us are not supportive, it's going to make it harder. It's going to make it harder for us to succeed. It's going to make it harder for us to stick with it, but it doesn't mean that we have to quit. It doesn't mean that we won't be successful. It's just important for us to recognize that in our lives, when we have the support of family and friends and loved ones, it makes accomplishing something easier. It makes being successful at something easier. So I want to encourage us to keep that in mind. But just because your closest loved ones, family and friends don't support your Reiki business journey doesn't necessarily mean it's time to quit. It doesn't necessarily mean that you should quit if no one in your life is supportive of your Reiki business journey. What it does mean is that you will have additional challenges. So as if starting a Reiki business isn't challenging enough, you will have additional challenges, including that it may very well, it'll probably really be a struggle to prioritize your Reiki business and to find the time to build it. because you're going to have people competing with your time who actively don't want you to be spending your time on your Reiki business. So is it impossible? Does it mean that you have to quit your Reiki business? No. It's just important to know that you're going to have added challenges. And yes, you still can make it work. And getting support is going to be especially important for you. If you have not already, please do join us in the Reiki Business Collective, because this is a great space where there are lots of like-minded Reiki business owners and Reiki practitioners considering starting a business. Of course, we are at facebook.com/groups/Reiki Biz. And yes, indeed, in the Build Your Reiki Business program, coming next year, there are going to be opportunities for connecting with your classmates in order to get additional support of your peers on your Reiki business journey. So have you thought of quitting your Reiki business? Probably. The answer is probably yes. Have you quit your Reiki business? Yes, indeed. You're welcome to continue listening to this podcast even after you quit your Reiki business. You are most welcome to continue to be with us in this way. So thank you so much for being here, no matter where you are on your Reiki business journey. As always, please feel free to get the free Reiki Biz Kit. The link is down below. And of course, you are welcome to join us in the Build Your Reiki Business program to build your own Reiki business on your own terms, on your own time frame at standingstoneshealing.com/build. And I do want to note that the registration fee for that program increases on December the 1st. And so until December the 1st, you can get in on that incredible program for only $333. This gives you lifetime access to all of the content in the program, as well as 2 one-on-one meetings with me, as well as monthly coaching sessions with the group of students. And yes, coming in 2024, we're going to have networking meetings as well. I'm only going to continue to add to this program over the years, and you can think of it as a lifetime membership. So I'm sending so many blessings and best wishes to your Reiki business. Thanks for tuning in to the Build Your Reiki Business podcast. Please like, share, subscribe, and send to a friend. Learn more about the Build Your Reiki Business program at standingstoneshealing.com/build. Sending blessings and best wishes to your Reiki business.